Chairs No Waiting, episode number 794, Those Gossipin Men. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the folks at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Yes, it's a real store. Go and check it out. While you're there, you check out some of the new things they've got there. They got these wooden blocks with cool Mayberry things on them, like a United States flag with the word Mayberry under it. There's also one that says, I heart Mayberry. It's a Mayberry thing, our happy place. Maybe just go and check them out. There's a lot of really cool ones over there at Weavers. While you're there, they got some really cool artwork that you can pick up to make your very own, hang on your wall. And they also have pewter ornaments that are suitable for Christmas or any other time. Ornaments and chains to turn on the ceiling fans and all that kind of stuff. Head over to weaversdepartmentstore.com and check it out. So basically, the executive producer of this week is Mr. Weaver for episode number 794. We'll make Mr. Weaver be our executive producer. Folks, it is great to be here in Mayberry with you. We're back into the swing here. I'm trying to run through them. So far, here we are, July, and we're only on the 15th episode of season 1. I don't know if we're going to make it. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to make it. I don't know what we're going to do. But we're going to be talking about Those Gossipin Men. Now, you guys remember that episode. Before we hit that, let me tell you what else we're going to do. We're going to do some trivia from Paul Mulik. So we got some trivia coming up. Last week we did the first part of it. We're going to do some more about injuries. So we only got a few of them, but we're going to run through them. So folks, we have got, just to go through, we've been trying to go through some of the episodes over the last several weeks and this year, really. So we're up to episode number 15, and yes, it's the Those Gossipin Men. It was the 15th episode, filmed and aired, which, they're lined up right now, so they were both filmed and aired. It's basically, Aunt B teaches Andy a lesson because he's been ridiculing the women there in Mayberry about being terrible gossips, and so she basically sets a trap and proves that the men are just as bad as the women in finding a rumor and kind of running with it. And, they basically turn this mild-mannered shoe salesman, into a talent scout from the fictitious television show, Manhattan Showtime. So she tricks them completely into it. As she goes along. So we're going to talk about that. So let's get into that, and then we'll hit up some of the other stuff. So I'm going to play us a little background music here as we play this. I'm going to play it low, but we're going to play it. So here we go. This is episode Those Gossipin Men. As I already mentioned, it was the 15th episode filmed and aired. So it's season 1, episode number 15. The original air date was January the 16th, 1961. It was written by Jack Ellison and Charles Stewart, and director was Bob Sweeney. So in this particular episode, which I love, every time I do one of these reports, I go out and watch the episode and everything right before we talk about it on here. And it's so fun, and things that I don't really ever notice. In this particular episode, it starts off with Aunt B. Let's see, it's Aunt B, Emma, and Clara Lindsay is her name. She played Rose. It's the same lady who played Rose in the first episode, Opie's housekeeper, Rose. But they're in Walker's drugstore, and just Emma's telling the other ladies that Millie Parsons walks into church with blonde streaks, and that she nearly dropped her hymnal. And Clara even thinks that she adds the blonde streaks to her hair just to impress the new mailman. So they're telling all these stories. And in the meantime, something that I did not hit on until this week is Opie is standing there at the beginning, and he keeps asking Aunt B, can I have a candy bar? I'd like to get a candy bar. She says, no, can't have a candy bar. No, can't have one. And so the ladies keep gossiping and going on here. And then Emma, as they go through here, let's see if I've gotten this part written down. I don't, so let me just say it. So Emma is talking about all they're still gossip. And Opie asks again, Aunt B, can I have a candy bar? And she goes, no. Why? And he's like, why not? Because basically she wasn't going to let him. So they keep talking and talking, and they're all talking about, putting on airs. And, I never put on airs. I'm exactly what I pretend to be. Well, then Fred walks up, and basically Fred has given Emma her order. And one of the things he gives her is peroxide. And Emma comes back, I use it for gargling purposes only. She says she's not proud, that she is exactly what she pretends to be, basically, and that she's 40 and she's knows it. And Opie goes, Aunt B, gosh, well you're way older than her. She's only 40, and you're an Aunt B. Goes, stop, you go over there and get you a candy bar. I never really picked up on the part Opie was doing that at the very beginning. I don't know how I've never noticed that, but it just never hit me as funny as it did today as I was watching that episode. So basically, Aunt B lets him have the candy bar to get him to quit telling how old she is. So I thought it was pretty funny. So Barney basically during this whole thing he has cut his finger. So he cut his finger while he's cleaning his gun, and Andy came over to get some sulfa powder for Barney, just to make sure he didn't get any kind of infection or anything like that. But it was just a little cut, and he wanted to get it for that. So he came over and basically asked Fred for some sulfa powder, and was talking to the women about what they were talking about, and starts making fun of them about gossiping. And they're basically saying they don't gossip, they just spread news, that kind of information. And so Andy gets the sulfa powder from Fred, Mr. Walker, or from Walker's drugstore, and heads on out. Well, Aunt B asked if everything's okay when he came in there to get it. And Andy says that Barney has got just a little scratch, and he walks out. Well, when he walks out, Emma is just sure there's something else going on here. He walked all the way over here to get that. I'm just sure something's wrong. And Fred says, Emma, the courthouse is just across the street. But Emma and Aunt B, they're all convinced that something is bad wrong with Barney, because I couldn't believe Andy came all the way over here just for a little scratch, even though it was just right across the street. So Aunt B and Clara Lindsay, that was Rose from previous episodes, they all start talking, and Emma gets on the phone and calls. And I don't remember who she calls, but she calls somebody and talks to them, and Clara Lindsay talks to somebody. Then all these ladies, you see all these different ladies throughout the episode talking about it. And then we pop over to the courthouse. There's Andy and Barney doing stuff around the courthouse there, cleaning up. And basically, Barney answers the phone. Well, before that happens, Barney's got his finger all wrapped up, and he takes the wrapping off and shows it to Andy. And he holds his finger up there for Andy to look at, and says, Andy's like, oh yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I think it's good. And Barney says, what are you looking at? That's not where it was. It's on the other side. So the cut is so small, Andy can't even see it. But basically then Barney answers the phone and finds out that they're saying he's dead. They called to let people know that Barney had died. This is just a good episode to me. I mean, I realize I'm just doing a run through for you, but this was so fun to me that they were able to pull all this off on her. So, because Aunt B basically is pulling this on Andy and Barney, right? That they're going to, not this, but that later, once they get this cleared up here, about his finger, he's not dead. He's like, what about these people calling and saying I'm dead? And then Andy starts laughing about it and making fun of it. And then Barney slowly gets upset that Andy is making fun of the fact that he's dead. He's not dead, but it bothers Barney, obviously, that Andy is making fun of all this stuff. Well, Clara and Aunt B come in because it's like, oh my goodness, we heard about Barney and everything. And then Barney walks out of the back room and I said, I'm right here. Well, Barney, you're walking. Well, yes, I'm walking. So basically, Andy then accuses Clara and Aunt B because it was only those ladies over there that heard about this sulfa powder issue. And so basically he's telling that you guys went from a little cut to getting him killed off in just under whatever period of time it was. It was awesome. So then Aunt B came up with the theory and the plan that the men are just as bad as anybody else. So they meet Wilbur. They meet our salesman. He comes into town there, Wilbur Finch, and they meet him over at Walker's drugstore, and he's talking. He's not a very good salesman because he's not got a lot of personality, that boy. And basically, Aunt B comes up with the plan because after Wilbur leaves the drugstore, Aunt B's still sitting there with Emma, and they start telling Andy some about this man that came in. He claims he's from New York and he's down here, a shoe salesman. Basically, they plant the seeds in the men's mind that Andy and them are both kind of laughing about it. And Barney's saying things like, well, why would a fella come all the way from New York City to Mayberry to sell shoes? Our feet aren't that special. Andy's like, oh, don't let those ladies get to you. And then as he walks across the street, basically he walks right on past the patrol car and right into the hotel because he wants to find out about this fella. So we keep on going, and all the men in town start kind of trying to figure out who this fella was. Even happens, that they run into him there in the hotel, and he's asking about a TV. He'd like to have a TV in his room. Well, they tell him, well, we don't have TVs in our room. Sorry. Well, then the fellow that works over at the hotel, he goes over to Floyd's barbershop, starts telling him what's going on. So I think that's Jason, right? Jason goes over there and starts talking about what's going on over there while Orville Monroe is in the chair, and they're trying to figure out what this man does. Well, he's gone off, and they see him coming across the street, so they go out and meet him. And he had tried to rent a television set. Now that I thought was interesting as well, because Orville does a TV repair place. So you'd think maybe he'd have a TV that he could rent, but that never comes up in here. So they basically, from that, start to believe that this guy is not what he pretends to be, and that he is a talent scout from New York City there to find talent there in Mayberry from the Manhattan Show Time is the name of the show. So Orville does it, Floyd does it, all the men start doing it, and Barney finds out that that's what it is, and it leads right to Andy going to tell Aunt B about it. Of course, Aunt B knows the whole time that is not what it is, and all these guys figure out that they can go and start auditioning to Mr. Finch in his room. So Floyd goes over there with his son Randall, in this case, I believe is the right name. Paul Mulik will correct me if I got that wrong, but is it Randall in this episode? And he goes over there and plays a little saxomania for him, right in his ear while Floyd's tapping his foot, and Mr. Finch is trying to try on his shoes for him. Then when Floyd and his son leave, Barney goes in. You see all these folks out in the hall waiting to go in and audition for Mr. Finch. So Barney's playing his harmonica. Basically, all this happens, and you just continue to raise Mr. Finch up to where now he thinks he is a great salesman. He was ready to quit the shoe business and everything. But he doesn't, because all these men have bought shoes from him, and they're all leading him out to his car and wondering when it'll be that they'll be told about the show. And he's got no clue. Obviously, he's just a shoe salesman. And he eventually, as he drives off and some of the things he says, the men start to realize he's really just a shoe salesman. That's all he is. And where did you get this idea, Andy? And Andy is confused and doesn't really understand what happened either. Then he looks across the street, and over there is Clara and Emma just kind of waving at him, and the realization comes on Andy's face that he's been had. Oh my goodness. Of course, then the epilogue of that particular episode is Andy is in the courthouse and Aunt Bee comes in and she's basically talking about how the men all fell for that and auditioned. And he goes, how do you know I had anything to, why are you throwing me in with that? You don't know if I fell for that. And just then Barney walks in with 3 packages of shoes that Andy had ordered that came in the mail that day. And Aunt Bee is standing there with a smirk look on her face as we find out that Andy got took as well. Guys, it is a great episode. If you haven't seen that, go and watch it. That is a good one. We may watch that one at the Mayberry meetup that's coming up next weekend, a weekend after this one, the weekend of the 19th of July. That may be one of them that we watch because it was that is a great episode. I loved it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little run through with it. Now let's go into some of the odd facts known by few that are related to this. Andy walks into the drugstore and there is a TV guide in the drugstore that you can see clearly behind Andy's head that has Lucille Ball on it. It's real easy to spot when he comes walking in. It's right behind his head on the right beside the door of the door of Walker's Drugstore. You'll see it right there. And that is a let's see, what year is that from? October the 9th through the 15th, because TV Guide covered a week, right, of 1954. So it's got Lucy on the cover, Lucille Ball. And you'll remember the name of the studio that produces the Andy Griffith Show is Desi Lou, which was owned by Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball. So there's a little nod to her with the TV Guide cover from 1954 right there on the wall. Now, when Andy and Barney are in the courthouse, you'll see in the background behind Andy, there is a upside down map of Idaho and Nevada. They're both upside down if you look behind them. The Idaho map remained upside down for at least 6 more episodes. Later in the season it is right side up. The Nevada map remains upside down for the entire first season. So you'll see this. This is first season only, is where you'll see these things behind them on the wall. So something to be watching for when you're looking or watching the episode. So according to Barney, the distance to New York City was 900 miles from Mayberry. Okay. So if Mayberry is geographically located somewhere near where Mount Airy, North Carolina is, it would really only be about 550 miles currently. And I don't think even back in the 60s, before all the interstate system was finished and everything, that it would have added another nearly 400 miles. 350 miles. Maybe it could. Anyway, he said it was 900 miles. Why is he coming all the way from New York City down here, that far from New York? So there's you a little bit of an odd fact known by few. In this particular episode, if you watch this one, which I noticed it as I was watching it today, because I was watching it different than I normally do, because I don't normally watch these episodes looking for trivia type things that are going on. But in this particular episode, they're at Floyd's barbershop and talking about stuff in there with Floyd. Well, the back room in Floyd's, you actually can see a door. There's a door back there. The whole barbershop looked different in this particular episode. I don't really understand why. I don't know why they made the barbershop look so different, but it definitely did. There's a door there in the barbershop that's not normally seen in the barbershop. So I don't really understand that. Where the curtain where you go into the back room at Floyd's, when there's actually a door there. Now, according to what I've written down here, every other episode of the interior shows the barbershop with that curtain to the back room. This particular one it had a door. So there you go. Kind of be looking. Floyd's son Randall in this episode, I mentioned him a minute ago. He was the saxophone player that we all saw playing for Mr. Finch. Well, in this episode, his name is Randall. In episode 29, it's called Quiet Sam. His wife, Melba, is mentioned, Floyd's wife. Randall auditions on the saxophone. He plays a selection from Saxomania. Another son named Norman is mentioned in the episode The Jinx. And later in the series, however, Floyd is said to have no children. And later he's also said to be a widower. So there's a little bit of inconsistencies for you there, but just things to know, that odd facts known by a few. Barney reveals that his shoe size is 7.5B. In the Merchant of Mayberry episode, Barney requests size 10 socks. So it's actually 10.5. He asks for size 10.5 socks, but in this episode, he wears a 7.5B shoe. So there you go. Barney offers to serenade the salesman with a selection on his jaw harp, the harmonica, playing things like Funiculi, Funicula, let's see, and the Vagabond Lover and Animal Crackers. Anyway, you see that. So in this episode, at the beginning, when Andy and Barney are walking across the street from a Walker's drugstore, as they walk across the street, you'll see there is a reflection of a boom mic in the squad car window. So be watching for that. I'd never seen that before, but after they mentioned it, I was able to find it, and it is definitely, it looks like there is a reflection in the window, and it's in the lower right-hand corner of the main windshield. There appears to be right where the steering wheel is. You can see the boom mic. So there's something for looking at. Okay, let's see. The actor Jack Finch, he played Wilbur Finch. He appeared in the Don Knotts movie The Love God. Just so you know another bit of a little trivia. And let's see, I got a couple of more. This episode marks the last appearance of Orville Monroe, the funeral director, Orville Monroe. I forgot to mention that. When Aunt Bee and them had said that they got everybody believing Barney had died, Orville came in to express his condolences to Andy, and Barney walked out. He said he had to move his vehicle because it was backed up to the front door. I just thought, anyway, this is the last appearance of Jonathan Hull as funeral director Orville Monroe. And it's also the last of two appearances. We only had two appearances, which is kind of wild, but we only had two appearances of Uncle Fred that ran Walker's drugstore. This is the last appearance of him. His name was Harry Antrim. He was Fred Walker. But he owned drugstore, but we only saw him on this episode, on these two episodes with Ellie. So anyway, there you go. That is all the information I had, I do believe. Thank you very much. I thought I had something about Mary Treen. I'm pretty sure this is the last time we saw her. Now, Mary Treen was Rose, and then she was on this episode as Clara Lindsay, I mentioned. And I believe this is the last time we see her as well during the series. All right, guys, that is a rundown, and you're probably bored to death, but go and check out this episode. It's a great episode, and I hope you really enjoyed it. All right, let's go and play some trivia. So our trivia music, there it is, guys. We got 4 questions this week. Okay, 4 questions about injuries there in Mayberry. Let's see. I think we did, what did we do? 4 last week, right? Yep, here we go. All right. Question number 1. If you got your pencil ready, here we go. Injuries. These are from Paul Mulik. Thank you, Paul, for these questions. Question number 1. After Andy came into the drugstore to get some sulfa powder, The ladies of Mayberry spread a rumor that Barney Fife had shot himself in the chest. What really happened to him? Now, guys, surely you have been listening to this. If you listen to the episode, you should be able to get this answer, right? What really happened to him? So after Andy came into the drugstore to get some sulfa powder, by the way, I always thought it was sulfur powder. I thought it was sulfur. They're pouring sulfur in there, but it's sulfa powder. The ladies in Mayberry spread the rumor that Barney Fife had shot himself in the chest. What really happened to him? All right, so if you weren't listening to anything I've said tonight, you probably missed this one. If you were, this should be an easy question. Yes, it's sulfa, not sulfur. I always thought it was sulfur. I thought they were just saying it weird, but it's sulfa, F-A, S-U-L-F-A, sulfa powder. All right, what really happened to Barney? All right, surely you got this. The answer, it's obviously from the episode Those Gossipin Men. The answer is he cut his finger while he was taking his gun apart. He's cleaning his gun, right? He was cleaning the gun. Okay, so that's the answer. All right, question number 2. Who injured their hip when they fell at the bowling alley? Who injured their hip? Their hip. Their hip. Who injured their hip when they fell at the bowling alley? Okay. Folks are getting it in our chat room. All right. So in case you don't know, I'm going to give you a hint. I don't think it's going to help. It's from the episode Barney and the Cave Rescue. Okay. And the answer of who injured their hip when they fell at the bowling alley, it was Sarah's mother. Sarah's mother is the answer. Is this when he told her to soak it a lot in hot water? Is that when that was? So I don't think that's it. But anyway, I thought that was funny. Sarah's mother. So if you got that, I'm proud of you. All right, that's question 2. Question number 3. How did Andy injure his left wrist? How did Andy injure his left wrist? Oh, that's tough. All right. How did Andy injure his left wrist? All right, so here's the answer. It says the correct answer is he hurt his left wrist. Now, this is his left wrist when this is a color episode, so if that helps you. He hurt his left wrist when Warren overturned his canoe in the episode A Warning from Warren. And Paul says, I'm sure someone will no doubt have guessed when he got into a fight while arresting the Gordon boys. But that was Andy's right wrist. Oh, Paul with a trick question. Oh, good job, Paul. Because, yes, people in our chat room were definitely saying that he got it when he was in a tussle with the Gordon. Oh, that was a tough one. Oh, he got you guys. Did he get you? So this was actually with Warren. He hurt his left wrist when Warren overturned his canoe in the episode A Warning from Warren. Good job, Paul. You got us. All right. Our final question, and I think there's some bonus points here. Okay. So here's our final question, but we got a bonus point. All right. Question number 4. Who invented a special baseball pitch after suffering a broken middle finger? Who invented a special baseball pitch after suffering a broken middle finger? Folks in the chat room are jumping on this one. We got baseball fans all over the place. So, all right. So Paul is telling that he stole that last one about the left wrist from Jim Clark. He used that in the Bullet about 20 years ago. So if you'd listened and read all the Bullet trivia from the newsletter, you'd have got it. All right. Who invented a special baseball pitch after suffering a broken middle finger? All right. I'll give you a hint. The episode is Opie's Most Unforgettable Character. It's color episode. The answer, it was Andy. Andy did it. He developed a special pitch in baseball after he broke his middle finger. All right, as a bonus points, what did Andy call that special pitch? Oh my goodness, folks in the chat room are getting it before I even said the question. What did Andy call his special pitch as a bonus? My goodness, folks are getting that right. I would not have gotten this, by the way, just so you don't feel bad that people in our chat room are getting it correct. Congratulations, chat room folks. So here's the answer. What did he call that special pitch that he developed after he broke his middle finger? The wobble ball. The wobble ball. There you go. So that was the answer. How did you do, guys? Paul, thank you so much for these questions. I love these. These are a lot of fun. I hope everybody's been enjoying them. I know I'm enjoying them. I have no idea. Just so you guys know, I can't answer these trivia questions. I look up trivia questions for you, but I can't answer them. These are tough. Let's see. What would I have known? I would have known the first one because we just talked about it. I knew that one. And that's it. I don't think I'd have known. I might have got that it was Andy that developed the pitch. I might have gotten that, but I wouldn't have known what it's called. So good job to Paul. Great trick question there. And good job. Paul Mulik is in our chat room. He said he got them all right. Good job. So I hope you guys, whether you got them right or you didn't, I hope you enjoyed it and had fun doing it. I hope you enjoyed listening to a recap of the episode, Those Gossipin Men, plus hearing some of the odd facts known by few. Now, all these things that I'm gathering and collecting together, they're all, if you go and look at mayberry.info, that's a website, mayberry.info, it's like Wikipedia for Mayberry, and all this information is there for all the episodes that we've already covered. You can go and check them out, and that's where the answers to these, well, not the answers, but all this information, the plot summaries, the odd facts known by a few, all of that stuff is located right there. So you guys can go and check that out. Definitely, I think, worth going to see. It's all there. All the episodes are there for every season, and you can go and check them out and enjoy yourself. Just see if you can't have a little bit of fun while you're there. Folks, that is all I have for you tonight. I would love to hear from you. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415. You can email me at floyd@imayberry.com, or just drop by twochairsnowaiting.com. All that information's there and ways to get in touch with me. Plus the show notes are there, the links, everything is there. Hopefully some of you guys will be at the Mayberry meetup coming up, not this weekend, but the next, if you're listening to this the week it comes out. Hopefully I'll see some of you there. The information about how to go and how to register and what we're going to be doing is all right there in the show notes for this episode and previous episodes from this year. Head over and check it out. Folks, until next time, thanks for being here with me, and I'll see you here on Two Chairs.